a line from this song that we just heard, as well as Christ Has Come. Tell the news to everyone. Tell the news to everyone. Wake up. Tell the news to everyone. The angels sing. We've been thinking about the life-changing good news of Christmas over recent services, different ways that that good news was brought. Initially, it was brought by angels to people. Angel to Zechariah gave him some good news of something that he'd been praying for him and Elizabeth to have a son. And he got good news. He didn't quite believe the good news, so he had to be quiet for 9 months and a bit. But then Mary also got good news. Good news delivered by an angel. And for Joseph, that was hard to believe. So he also got good news given to him by an angel so that he could have that good news confirmed. And therefore, based on that good news being confirmed, he had strong convictions that, yeah, this was right. And so he did stick with Mary. And then at times he had messages from angels so that he would do the right thing to keep Jesus safe. So angels were very important in giving God's message. And one of the other places that angels gave a message was to that first character that we had did the reading, a shepherd. In fact, there are a whole load of shepherds out, as we know, on the fields just outside Bethlehem. And one of the things I particularly enjoyed about yesterday's service was the fact that a number of people shared in a bit more detail than we often get the chance to, or you often get the chance to, a little bit about the maybe the prophecy that relates to the Christmas story, or something in the life of Jesus, or something that Jesus did or does, or about who he is. And all sorts of people brought that together. And that was a lovely part of this, because we get given the message, don't we, so that we can do something with it and tell other people. And actually, that's what happened to the shepherds. They were given a message by angels, by the whole company of heavenly hosts there, and then they left their sheep, and they went down to make the discovery for themselves, down into Bethlehem to make the discovery for themselves. So they, as I think was pointed out last night, certainly as we pointed out to each other a number of times, they were outsiders. They were not the people who mattered the most in many ways in society. And it's quite possible that these nighttime shepherds were kind of, they had the last job in a sense. This was the night shift of the job that maybe people didn't really want to have to do. Probably the sheep weren't theirs, probably they were the hired hands. But God chose the outsiders to give the good news to. And then they went and they saw for themselves, and they were overjoyed, and they started telling all sorts of other people. And that was Luke's description of outsiders coming in. And Luke's gospel is a lot about people who are outsiders coming in and being found by Jesus and then discovering Jesus for themselves. Matthew, the gospel that we've been looking at more this time because he has more specific fulfillments, Matthew has the story of the wise men. We don't exactly know how many there were. They had 3 gifts. We don't know a huge amount about them. They seem to have been magi from the east. They were looking at the stars. I mean, it's kind of funny, isn't it? It's almost embarrassing, isn't it, to have in the Christmas story, in the book where God tells you not to consult this, that, and the other, that here are these people staring at the stars for signs, and then God chooses to colour outside the lines, as it were, and says, I'll give you something too. Even though you're not Jewish, at the time when he was particularly speaking to Jewish people, even though you're a long way away, doing something that I maybe told Jewish people not to do, and by implication others. It's a strange thing. It's amazing sometimes that you can speak to people who you think would be far from God, and you discover that something's happened in their life that maybe with the right interpretation that we have the ability to provide sometimes could point them towards the one that they don't yet know. It's interesting sometimes having conversations, and sometimes they're sort of tricky conversations because people have all sorts of odd experiences. But sometimes I wonder if God is able to use all sorts of strange things. And if we just present something to them, Paul in Athens talked about there were statues to an unknown God. And he said, no, I'm going to tell you about the God who is real, the God who I know in person. And so however they got there, these wise men came to, first of all, they went to Jerusalem because that seemed like a reasonable place to go. And then they got told Bethlehem is the place to go. And so on the one hand, we have shepherds who are outsiders. On the other hand, we have wise men who are outsiders. And they both get to discover Jesus, the good news. And if there's a title for this morning, it's Good News for Everyone. The good news is for everyone. And we have the privilege, those of us in here now and those of us watching online, from what I can see, all of us who are watching online, we know the good news. We know the good news of Jesus Christ, the one who came to seek and to save that which was lost, the one who came as the kingdom, who brought his kingdom with him, the one who came as God with us so that we can be with God. So we have the chance to celebrate this Christmas. He gave himself for us. And what he asks for us in return is that we give ourselves to him. He didn't hold back. He didn't sit on the fence. He gave himself wholeheartedly to us. And so the joy that we have today as we give and receive presents is, as we so often remind ourselves about at Christmas time, to give ourselves, we remind ourselves that we have been given the greatest gift. But as Claire's favourite carol finishes with, what can I give him? How does it go? Poor as I am, if I were a shepherd, I would give a lamb. I would do my part. If I were a wise man, I'd do my part. Yeah, but what I am, I give him. I give him my heart. And with that thought, we're going to sing together. We're going to sing one of the traditional Christmas carols, or some of you are. Some of us are going to sing it in our hearts. And Angels from the Realms of Glory.